It kind of looked like Jonestown the morning after. That's an old reference, kids. Better ask your grandparents. Hey there, folks. How you doing today? Welcome back to the channel, and please bear with any background racket that you might hear throughout today's production. We are on location where life happens. There's stuff going on out there that can be heard in here. Let's not let it stand in the way of the fun that we have in store for you. Out here on the table in front of me, I have two very similar, but a little bit different Glock 19-esque pistols that are the hosts, the platform, the vehicle, if you will, for a pair of reflex sights that is the purpose of this video. Now, these sights were sent to us by the company Dalbinowl. If you haven't heard of them before, we've actually dealt with them in the past. We did a video on a rifle sight that they have called the TYTO-R, which turned out to be pretty good. So when they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to try these out, I told them, sure, why not? Send them on out and we'll see what we can do. Now, these are a little different, very similar. Biggest difference between these two is the color of the dot. Over here on my safe and empty PSA dagger, now, for those of you that are paying attention, this is a Glock 19 length slide with a Glock 17 length frame. It's a compact slide, full-size frame on the PSA dagger. This one has the Dalbinowl TYTO-G mounted on top of it. The G is the one with the green dot. Over here on the other side, we have a safe and empty Bear Creek Arsenal BC 102 Grizzly. This is a Glock 19 length frame. This is a Glock 19 length slide as well as a Glock 19 length frame. So this is a compact slide, compact frame on that one, and it has the TYTO-R, or the red version, mounted on top of it. TYTO, T-Y-T-O. What is that? Well, for starters, there are a couple of other reviews out on these optics, and there's varying arguments on how you pronounce that. I actually reached out to the company and asked them, and they said it's pronounced TYTO, and that is in reference to a genus of owls, which includes barn owls. And if you take into consideration that their logo is of an owl, it all makes sense. So that's what we have here. And if you'll bear with me, I have some notes written down. I'm going to be referring to those because I'm an old guy and that's what I do. The TYTO-R and the TYTO-G feature a 2.5 MOA red dot or green dot. What does that mean? It means that the little dot that you're looking at 100 yards is about 2.5 inches, or about that big. So you can figure that at any distance inside of 100 yards, the dot's going to appear a little bit smaller. These optics are made of 7075 T6 aluminum, and they feature the industry standard RMR footprint. Both of these pistols came cut from the factory with an RMR footprint, which there are others that are quite popular, but the RMR kind of takes the cake in what is available across the board on production firearms. So I think they made a good move going with the RMR footprint. For those wanting to mount the optic to a Picatinny rail, it also comes with an included PIC rail adapter. Now we'll touch on the MSRP on these things now, and then we'll hit on it a little bit more here at the end. The TYTO-R, or the red dot version, is $119.99 and is available direct from them or over on their Amazon store. For about $20 more, you can get the green version. But as I said, we're going to discuss a way you could maybe save a little bit on that at the end of this video. The unit features an up to 50,000 hour battery life. Now, a couple of caveats with that. For starters, the 50,000 hour thing refers to the lowest setting, which is actually a night vision only setting that really nobody's going to use. If you crank the illumination all the way up on these things, it's going to last considerably less. But that's not a huge deal breaker, because they take readily available CR1632 batteries and they mount via a little drawer on the side, so there's no need to remove the optic from the pistol to change the battery. Now, the other thing I would touch on concerning battery life, which is just a supposition at this point because I have not had these nearly long enough to put it to test, and that is that categorically, green lasers have a tendency to drain the battery a little faster than a red dot does.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
So you might be asking yourself, well, Jay, is there really much difference between the red and the green, or is it all just a matter of personal preference? Let me do my best to explain. If you look at the visible light spectrum, on one end of it, you have ultraviolet, and on the other end, you have infrared, and everything in the middle is what you can see. Well, concerning red light starts with what you can see and goes into what you can't, whereas green light is right in the middle of the field of what we can see and tends to be more visible to more people. I hope that makes sense. So getting back to the battery life, part of what helps these optics to maintain the battery and keep them running longer is they have an inactivity timeout, which means that if they sit still for 4 minutes, they shut off. And you might be thinking to yourself, if I need this thing in the middle of the night and I'm grabbing it off of my nightstand, I don't want to have to turn it on. Well, never fear. Both of these optics feature a woke on motion, no comment on the title there, feature, which basically, as soon as you touch them and pick them up, they're going to come on. The units feature something like 1500 Gs of shock resistance, so if you drop them, they're probably going to be all right, as well as an IPX7 waterproof rating. Now, I've mentioned it before. I'll go ahead and tell you here. When we tested their other optic, the TYTO-R, we did submerge it, we did freeze it, we did drop it and throw it and bounce it off of a tree. I didn't see the point in doing it on these ones. Most of the optics that we've tested in the last couple of years have passed all those tests, and they're just abusive, and I really don't see the need for it in all applications. That being said, with the IPX7 waterproof rating, it's probably okay in the rain, or if you want to take a shower with it. I just wouldn't go swimming with it. But we took these out to the range and got them sighted in so that we could run them through a series of tests. We started with the BCA Grizzly with the TYTO-R mounted on top. Here you will notice that I pretty much had to crank the illumination to the max in order to be able to see the red dot in the bright sunlight. And within just a few shots, we had it hitting pretty close to where we wanted it to be. Then we went ahead and we conducted some work on steel at 25 yards on the plate rack. As well as some reduced man-size silhouettes out at 50, and it ran pretty good. So then I broke out the PSA dagger with the TYTO-G. And man, that first little sight in group was right on the money. And I took it out and I did the same thing. Now, something I noticed while I was out there shooting the TYTO-G was after a little while, I started to suck. Yeah, I, as a right-handed shooter with bad shooting habits, I have a tendency to shoot to the left just a little bit anyway. It's something I have to be conscious of. But man, out at 50 yards after about 100 rounds through the pistol, I noticed all of my shots were going right to the left side of that silhouette. So I brought it back and I put it on paper again. There was a point of impact shift with the TYTO-G. Now, I'm going to explain that to you. Over here on the windage adjustment screw, when I was dialing this sucker in, the windage adjustment just felt a little bit looser on the TYTO-G than it did on the TYTO-R. Once I adjusted it back, I shot a couple of magazines through it and it stayed on point. Probably it's less than ideal, but what I would do with this once I had it mounted on whatever I was going to leave it on is I would probably get it zeroed in and then put a dot of nail polish on that screw just to kind of glue it in place so that it doesn't rotate, because I think that's what happened. Under recoil, I think the screw was migrating back a little bit to the side with less resistance. Is it a quality control issue? Maybe. Is it an isolated sample? Yes. So without having another one to test to see if it does it again, I'd have to say that maybe it's just the tolerance on that particular screw. Talking about the screws on these, if you look here on the side where the little battery tray is, there is a very tiny little flat-headed screw on there. I'll put a close-up so you can see it a little better. One of the reviewers that did videos on these, I noticed, lost that screw out of his pistol when he was out at the range on his initial range session. What I think might have happened there is maybe he tightened it down just a little too tight and stripped that screw. It's very tiny, so I would caution you when you're putting it in. It's a two-finger thing, just until it quits moving. So after putting about 100 rounds through the TYTO-R, we put it back on paper just to see if there was any shift in point of impact. Yes, that was just me. And yes, it's annoying. And if there was any, it was very little, and I think probably what you saw there was just me. Aside from the shift in point of impact with the TYTO-G, did I have anything else to gripe about with these? Well, one minor thing. Let me show you here. So this is the Dalbinowl TYTO-G here, and you'll see that it has a very squared off profile. I'm going to put up a close-up here so you can see that a little better. I'm going to compare it now to the Siley Ghost HDG, which has a very rounded profile. Now, while the Siley Ghost was not my favorite optic, I did like that rounded off profile because if you're wearing this either in like an appendix inside the waistband or some kind of inside the waistband side mount or a 5 o'clock carry or however you're carrying this, if it's right up against your body, those sharp square edges dig a little bit. This is not a concern for manly men, but I don't like it. So would I prefer it if it had a little bit rounded off edges there, or maybe even just dehorn the corners a little bit? Yeah, maybe. But otherwise, for the price, I think it's a pretty good option. Now, concerning that price, I spoke to the folks over at Dalbinowl, and if you purchase these from their Amazon store, I will drop a promo code down in the description of this video. Now, those have an expiration date on it. That's why I'm putting it in the description and not here on the screen. What I typically do when they give me a code like that is I'll put the expiration date on it, and then inevitably it will expire and somebody will say, hey, do you have a new code? And so what I try to do is when I know they're going to expire, I'll reach out to them and say, hey, can I get another code for this? But I just checked over on Amazon a minute ago. The TYTO-R is readily available for 119 bucks with my 20% promo code. It's like 95, 90 something. The TYTO-G at this moment is currently unavailable. They sold out quick. I think they dropped these on October 5th. Today's October 22nd. So in the first couple of weeks, they sold out, but they assured me they are on order and they'll have more very soon. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Have you been looking for a new red dot or green dot? Are you looking for something that has an RMR footprint? Are you looking for something like these that also feature a pick rail so you can mount them on a rifle or on any kind of rail platform? Let me know down below. Until next time, take care and God bless. Hey there, folks. Thanks for watching today's production. Before you leave, let me ask you for just a moment of your time. I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm not asking for anything directly from you other than a few more moments of your time. If you look out here on the table in front of me, you'll see the Bear Creek BC 10 millimeter. There's several of you that have seen the review that we did on this platform here on the channel. You might also recall the review we did on the BC Grizzly, and also we've reviewed a couple of their other products that they have sent out to us for the purpose of review. Now, last time I spoke to the folks over there at Bear Creek, they said in order to keep sending stuff free gratis for us to review on this platform, they're going to need to show that they're getting traffic to their point of interest from this platform. And in order to do that, I need y'all to jump down to the pinned comment on this video. Check out that link that is right there. Just go over to their website, and by clicking on it and checking it out, it'll show that people are watching what I'm putting down over here and they are following up on it. I'm not asking you to buy anything. You don't have to buy anything, but it'll just show the folks over at Bear Creek that their investment in advertising dollars is well spent. If you do that for me, I'd appreciate it. I would consider it a personal favor. And until next time, thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.